Hello everyone, welcome to the Puritas Springs Software channel. I'm Ernie Zore and I'm here with my friend Larry Housel in the 12th video in our ChatGPT series. It's also number 69 in our FAQ series, so it's serving double duty there. At any rate, we want to thank you for watching, and today we're going to explore a really innovative approach to using AI technology in law offices. Larry, because this video is going to use the term large language model, I think it's important that you start us off by explaining the concept of a local large language model and how it's used.
Absolutely, Ernie. Large language model is an industry term that we don't hear a lot. We hear ChatGPT a lot, but we don't hear large language model. But ChatGPT is a large language model. So it's almost like with computers, you hear about Windows 95 and Mac. Well, those are operating systems. And so ChatGPT is a type of large language model, just like Windows is a type of operating system. Anyway, so to your point, the interesting thing that I learned about large language models since we started this whole series is that they don't necessarily need to run in the cloud. They can be a self-contained piece of software that you can run on your own computer.
You know, I never thought of it that way. I always figured it was some massive database that was, like you say, in the cloud, and I never thought about it in terms of having that made local, which is the subject of what you're going to be talking about.
That's right, Ernie. I had seen some stuff about it being run local, but it wasn't until this software, which again is another new word that we have to use, but RTX, this Chat with RTX software came out. And there's two things that interested me about that. One is that it was released by NVIDIA. So NVIDIA creates GPUs, which are the best type of processor for artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT and large language models.
When you sent me the first email about doing this particular video, I was thinking, I didn't know really what to think, but I was surprised when I did a little research and I thought, well, gee, it looks like you need special hardware to do this, which, yeah, hey, if that's the case, you know, but it wasn't clear to me.
Right.
But Larry, you actually have a way to kind of get around that if you don't have an RTX
That's right.
processor,
That's correct.
right?
So there is a way to do it and run it on pretty much any computer using any kind of hardware. I mean, it's got to be a newer computer with a pretty decent, bit of horsepower when it comes to CPU and stuff. But most computers can run an LLM. However, this software, this Chat with RTX, is very simple. It runs off of the GPU hardware, so it's very fast, and it's just very easy to install and set up. So that's why I thought we'd start with this and then move on to the more complicated ones that can run on anything.
Right. You know, and you told me about this, but I never really saw you do this. So I'm going to be as interested as anybody watching this video to see how this happens.
Okay, that sounds great. Before we get into the demonstration, which everybody's probably looking at on the screen if they're watching the video, the reason why I feel like this is important to the legal world is that it's private, right? You're running it on your own laptop. So once you've downloaded and installed this, you have physical control over the data, which in cybersecurity terms is the most important control, right?
Right. You know, and sometimes it's not always clear that when someone would do like just a normal standard chat GPT query, that information is being transmitted across the internet to their servers, and who knows what is happening after that. That was the weak link in the security protocol for law offices, basically.
Yeah, because you're dealing with information that is basically unshareable, right? It's client information. It's protected for ethical reasons, if nothing else, right? It's beyond just keeping somebody's private data. You also have ethical considerations.
That's why this is such a perfect solution, Larry. I think you really hit on something when you came up with this idea.
Yeah, great. I think it's something interesting, definitely worth at least talking about. So, like you said, if you're uploading data and you take somebody's financial data and you upload it to ChatGPT and ask it a question, you've just uploaded that. Now, technically it should be protected, but like we just said, unless you are the only one that has the data, it's on your physical computer that you're holding in your hands, you can't really trust it. With this kind of setup, you can.
Right.
And the nice thing about it, Ernie, and like I said, there's more complex methods of installing this on other computers, but if you have an RTX processor, it's just like installing any other piece of software. So if you click over the next screen,
where do I go? Go ahead.
The arrow, right?
Uh-oh. Technical difficulties happening right now. There we go.
All right. So yeah, this shows what you need. Windows you need, and that's the processor you need. So you can Google it and find out if you have that or not. But if you have that processor, you can run this software essentially. Another thing to keep in mind is look at the file size. So it's a big piece of software because it's bringing the whole quote-unquote large language model of data that's associated with it down to your computer to run.
I'm thinking 35 gigabytes is like nothing.
That's right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, that GPU there that they're Larry, I want you to help me pick out a new computer that's got all these things.
Yeah, which is why we're running this through a presentation, right? Top happened to have this, so I could run all of this, whereas it wouldn't run on your computer if you don't have that GPU.
And when you say GPU, you're talking about that RTX thing, right?
Yeah, the graphics processor.
Yeah, they're actually a graphics processor. You're right.
Yeah, in history, we always talked about the CPU, right, which is the central processing unit, and that being the most important thing. Well, not so with AI. AI works much better with graphic processors. It's not really interested in running through a CPU. So
anyway, okay, don't let me interrupt things. Keep going.
Yeah, this is a system requirement. So if you have this, you can go and download it. You just go to NVIDIA's website. You download it like you would any other.
Are we gonna do that right now?
No, because
okay.
I've already done it on my laptop to kind of walk us through it since we can't do it on your computer. So you have RTX Envy.
Oh, what are you saying? That yours has RTX?
Yeah, that's right. Not this one, but that one over there.
Oh, wow. Larry, God.
Yeah. It's impressive, right?
Wow. I wish you wouldn't be so arrogant about it. I feel like my desktop isn't up to snuff here.
No,
RTX. Oh, wow. No, okay. Cool. We're going to find a new system.
Well,
one that has these RTX
like
things.
you and I have learned since we started with the first book, this is constantly changing. So,
right.
Don't think that maybe within the next month somebody's going to come out with something that'll run on your computer. But you won't be upset if you have an NVIDIA processor. So if anybody right now is thinking about buying a computer and they're working in the legal world, this would probably be a good thing to check on the requirements. Have that process. So when you start the installation, you see this comes up and it's basically showing you what it can install. Now, if I had this is where the GPU envy comes in. If I had a better GPU, there would be more things that I can install, more language, quote-unquote models, large language models. The only one that'll run on mine is this Mistral, and I probably butchered that name, but it's
Mistral.
Yeah, I think it's French, but I don't know. It's the one that'll run on my GPU, which is fine. I'm not picky about it. Then this is important too if you're installing it. You can't change any of the
But
defaults.
we're not really installing it, are we?
No.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm getting it now. Yeah, that's why this is a PowerPoint presentation.
That's right.
This is not really happening.
What do they call it? There's a name, a stack? I think it's called a stack.
No, I thought they called it
a deck.
Fake news.
Yeah,
we're not really installing
this. PowerPoint,
it just looks like we're installing it.
No question about it.
All right.
Well,
and I hope they're going to edit the producer edits this.
No, I hope they should leave it and realize why. We're going to hustle to the end of this because now you've showed that it's PowerPoint. It's not even the real deal.
Yeah, right. We'll be like CNN for God's sakes. Wow, this is cool.
So
now it really isn't. But I was just making that up.
Well, now you have to cut that out.
I know
because now you've taken a side.
Right. What do you think? Yeah, I should.
Anyway. So it's going to ask you have to use the default. So look at the version, it's 0.2. So this is like almost beta software. So my point is if anybody actually is doing this because they have the processor, don't change any of the defaults. Wait
a minute, Larry. Come on now. 0.2? Does that That's less than version 1.
I mean,
And
it's
they
an
used to say-
iterative thing.
They always used to say, "Hey, don't buy version 1, man, because let them work the bugs out. You get version 2." You know.
You're
Now
right.
you're saying, "What the? This isn't even version
You have a
1."
really valuable point.
I know.
And if people should probably just use ChatGPT if they really want a good, streamlined, clean thing. But the difference is this runs locally on your computer. So you can literally fold your laptop up and take it and know whatever data you've put in there, client or otherwise, is under your control.
This is just a matter of decimals. 0.2 is going to be less than version 1.
I'll buy a lot.
What's up with this? Where the hell's version number 1?
Yeah.
What's this point 0.2?
Hey, you can take it
Wow.
up with NVIDIA.
Okay,
I can
all right.
assure you they have the profit margins to build some quality
Hey,
software.
I'll tell you, they'll be cut this video. None of this is ever going to be heard.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, I know, because I felt pretty good about it. But anyway, yeah, so where are we going?
So now we've accepted all the defaults and it installs, and it takes a really long time to install, like more than normal. So this chat with RTX, once it installs, right, it installs like any other software like we just saw, and then it pops up. It runs in a web browser. Look, you can see it's got like a local web address that it runs on. And so it essentially builds like this little internal large language model.
That's my security IDP, Larry.
This isn't even your computer.
I know,
IDP
I'm only-
isn't even. For a second, I was like, wait a minute, is this on? And then I was like, this isn't Ernie's.
Anyway, all right, well, let's continue on with the video.
So this is now, it looks just like ChatGPT, like down here. You can't really see, does it?
You know, I'm making a lot of fun of this, but this is really something serious for law offices that Larry's taking
Yeah, because
us,
you've got your own
taking us
local,
through.
private,
Exactly.
completely private.
Yeah, I hope-
Anyway,
Okay.
this is the one. So it's running Mistral. Here's the data set, right?
Mhm.
And here's the path. So this path, again, don't change it. I wouldn't recommend it. You can browse to this. You know how you showed, Ernie, you can cut and paste this right into, so you copy it, like, and then
Yeah.
you go and you dump it into the top here
Yeah.
in Windows, and it'll show you the contents of that. And it'll take you right to that. And they've already put some stuff in there that has to do with like video games.
You know what, Larry, darn it, I don't know a thing of what you just said. Go back. Okay, yeah, that's a local path on,
Right.
on your own computer.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you're copying it and you're pasting it. Well, for what reason?
Into Windows Explorer to find it.
To find what?
This location.
Well, okay, so go back to what you did. Yeah, okay. So there's the location.
Right.
So what's the point of seeing this
Okay,
thing?
I got you. You didn't let me finish. So this is in there.
Well, that was my whole point, is to not let you finish.
You were leading into it.
I know, it's a Friday. I
yeah.
thought, hey, let's drag it out.
Well, you were trying to help me out.
I know. I wasn't really.
Yeah, you were trying to. You were trying to be the Johnny or Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson.
Okay, cool. I
This-
like Ed McMahon. I like Johnny Carson,
I
too.
like them both.
Anyway, why are we...
This is the default data set. So that means that, you know, in GPT, when you upload information in, you give it custom prompts, things like that. So that's basically this. Like, you can upload information, and every time you ask the large language model a question, it'll always check this information before it answers your question.
These are text documents.
Yeah, that's right. But as you can see, if you go back
So when
here,
you talk about checking the...
So it says it takes text, docs, and
Right,
PDFs. That's
okay.
supported. Here's the folder path. So that's where you have to put it. And anything you put in this data set folder, this large language model, Mistral, will go read before it answers your question and take that into the context.
So all of those files and or folders that we were just looking at a second ago and that we're looking at right now, that is the...
Your training for the LLM, like your additional training for it. The LLM is this, like it's running locally on the web browser on your computer. That's that 35 gigabyte file we were talking about.
Oh, okay. And that's what were we looking at with the?
We were looking at the data set. So that's where you put all the Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say I'm talking to somebody. It's a dissolution, and we're trying to figure out who owes what to who, and they've got a bunch of financial documents, and they're all in PDF format. So I'll take it into my laptop here, and I'll dump those documents into this data set folder, and then I'll ask it a question and say, hey, how much have we paid in for cable for the last 3 years or something like that on average, and it'll read it and give you an answer.
Oh.
So for this one, I used our the deviation and shared parenting, because you have the help file set up.
Love it. Yeah.
So you have the help file set up in the software for child support.
Yes.
It goes to this.
And this has become part of the data set. Is that it?
Yeah, that's right. Because
Nice.
I deleted the defaults and I just added this as a text file to the data set.
This is one of my favorite help topics, which would explain why my life is so
Oh, well then we can test this.
depressing.
Well,
This is my favorite. I mean, gosh.
But Ernie, this stood out to me. That's why I chose it. You didn't tell me to choose this one.
No, that's a
Because
good
I
one.
could tell this was
Yeah.
a real banger.
Yep.
So anyway, I've added that to the data set, and then I click this little thing here that says refresh. So that means when I refresh it, Mistral reads all this into what it already knows, into that 35 gig that it already has, and adds this to it,
Yeah. Okay.
and then allows me to ask questions about it. So you tell me, I mean, is this right?
Oh
So
my.
These are questions I was asking it. Are there cases supporting the idea that it is permissible to use the straight percentage time of possession and apply it against the combined annual obligation? If so, include case names.
Oh wow. That's pretty interesting. Huh. Hey, I like that, Larry. Looks good.
Yeah? Does that make sense then?
And all of that is done in-house,
Right.
essentially. So
Right over on
you
that
don't have
laptop
to.
over there.
Yep, you don't have to worry about violating security protocols or
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Or OpenAI writing you an email like, 100 apologies, sir, but we accidentally had all of our systems hacked.
Right.
And so all the information you've ever uploaded, are bad, but, it's out there.
We're sorry about all your clients' confidential information being exposed to 35 million users, but
Right. But here's a what do they call it, a credit score company voucher, so you can go
right.
check your
Here's a voucher for
3 months of Experian credit control.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Trust us.
We're our bad. Anyway, you don't have to worry about that. You have to worry about, obviously, somebody's taking your laptop, but if you had confidential information in your office, it's the same thing as having it on the laptop if you have control of it.
Why does it say start charting?
Because once you've added, once you've installed it, added your context, which is put whatever you wanted in that data set and refreshed it, you can ask it questions about that.
Oh,
data.
okay. Oh, I get it.
Now,
Right.
to your point earlier, you got to keep in mind that this is a very rudimentary thing. It's only 35 gig. I think it's 2 terabyte for ChatGPT, and it's running on a lot more processors, and it can do a lot more complex things. It remembers what you're talking about. This isn't going to do that. This is going to be a very rudimentary interaction, asking it questions. And it's not going to remember what you were talking about earlier or anything like
Well,
that.
why are you saying that? That's because we don't have a true RTX processor, or what?
Well, that's because you need a lot more horsepower to do that kind of thing, and so that's why ChatGPT and the Googles and the Claudes and the Mistrals or whatever that run online can do so much more, because they can use cloud processing and things like that just we don't have access to locally. Does that make any sense what I just said?
Yeah, I think so.
I think all I'm trying to do is lower expectations. You're not going to get a full-blown version of ChatGPT 4.0 on your local computer, but you will get the same kind of conversational question and answer. It'll be great with unstructured data that you can load into it. Like, it'll do all that.
You know what? That's important. If there's one thing that I appreciate about ChatGPT, it's what you mentioned, conversational,
Mm-hmm.
where I can if it gives me an answer to a search query, I can ask it a question about that without having to restate all of the whole thing that went before it. And once you get used to that, you just don't want to go back to any other way.
Yeah, it's true. It remembers what's been happening. And I guess that's it.
So, yeah, all right, well.
If anybody else watches it, we'd really appreciate a like or a comment or a question, right? That'd be awesome.
Larry, I'm getting the signal that we're out of time. So, in closing, I'd like to thank our viewers for watching and reminding them about our new book, Larry, ChatGPT and the Law. It's a comprehensive guide to AI in law offices. You can order it from our landing page, and the link is in the description. It's https:// I'm not going.
Yeah. There'll be a link in the description.
It's also available at the Amazon bookstore for $12.95 in digital format. Really good price. And $15.99 in paperback. So, in closing, remember,